Hey guys, welcome back to the fifth episode of Node.js series. I hope you're enjoying it. The first four episodes we looked at what is a Node.js, how to install it on your computer, how to run it, and then last one we looked at what are the globals in Node.js. And so this video we're gonna look at modules. What are modules? Why do we use it? How to create one, how to create your own modules, what is the difference between internal module and external module, and how to export a module and use it into another module. And also in the end, we're going to look at how to use the experimental feature of using ES6 modules. And by the way, if you're not following the entire series, if this is the first video you watched, I would highly recommend follow the entire series, and I'll provide a link to the playlist in the corner so you can follow it. And welcome to Texit Tutorials. Okay, before we build our own modules, we need to understand what is a module. A lot of people call it a package, but what is a package? It's nothing but encapsulated code. What is encapsulated? Basically, it has its own variable, and you cannot directly access the variable. And also, if you use this module somewhere else, it won't directly going to impact the rest of the code. Okay, because it's not global, you have to use the namespace in order to access the variables. If you think of in old days where we used to use the IIFE, immediately invoke functional expression in JavaScript, this is nothing but that. So it creates a scope. Now also let's look at what types of module we are going to use. There are three main types of module. There are modules that we create, like we are going to create now. Basically, it's a file one file that you can create that you can use it into another file. Then there will be a built-in module or a shipped module. What is a built-in module? Basically, overall Node functionality is very simple, but for everything else you need modules. And Node has created lots of modules like file system, path, and all that, so HTTP, that are supported by Node community. You can trust it. So these are internal module or shipped modules that comes with Node version. Third kind of modules are external modules or modules that other people have created that you can actually consume in your code. So if you go to GitHub, there are tons of modules that people have created. There is a way to actually use those modules in your code, and we're gonna look at it in the next video. But basically, there are three types of modules. All right, so let's build our first module. And the best way to do it is simplicity, right? So let's build a very simple module, a module that has a function which allow us to add two numbers. You can't get simpler than that. So I'm going to create a new file, and I'm just going to say add.js, okay? And since it's add, it will only have this functionality for adding two numbers. And so I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call it add, which is nothing but an arrow function. And it has two arguments, num1 and num2. Well, num2. And it returns num1 plus num2. Okay, it's const, not cost. Now that we have built this functionality, we need to be able to use this functionality in some other file. But if I want to import this file to some other file, I have to export it first. And in Node, the way to export it is module.exports. And I can add this functionality here. Now it will basically able to export this. And now let's use this file somewhere else. So I'm going to create an app.js file. And in app.js, I want to consume this add function. So usually in regular JS file, we would say import add from something like this, right? But since we're not using ES6 modules, we would say const add equal to require, and we will use a relative path add. Now this require, as we looked at, it's a global property, which is nothing but commonjs property, which allows us to import this add function. Now, because it's our own module, we can provide the relative path. Now, in order to run it, I'm just going to say console log add, and then I'm going to pass two numbers. So this should basically give us 1 plus 2, which is 3. So if I want to run this, I would say, since I'm on the same uh, location, I can say node app, and it prints 3. So this covers the first kind of module, that modules that we can create. Now let's look at a module that Node already has built in. So you can do a lot of file manipulation, and Node has a module called fs. So the way to import it is require, all I have to do is fs. As you can see that I'm not providing any path. The way Node works is that when I don't provide any path, that means it knows that it can be internal or shipped module, or it could be external. So in order to find where this, so it has to resolve that, it has to find this module. And in order to find it, it would look through multiple places. And one of the ways to look through places is, if I, let's say, run node and type module dot paths, this should give me a bunch of paths. So it just looks through all these paths to find the module that that I'm trying to import. If we can't find it, it will give you an error. Otherwise, it will import that. Let's say if I do console log fs, it will just simply print the module information. So all I would do node app again. So all I would do is node and app again. I would see for the second console, it's printing the entire fs, which has a bunch of properties and lots of functions. So what really happens when I import a module? It first has to resolve. So resolving means it has to find the path where this file is located, and then it has to load it. Okay, load it into the memory. Okay, then it would wrap it as a private scope, so it becomes like a module. Okay, and then it also does some caching, so that if I load the same module somewhere else, it would have already available this. So it goes through all the steps, and I have probably missed a few other steps, but that's what it does. Okay, let's say if I want to use the latest ES6 module syntax. For that, I would have to change this file. Now again, I am right now using this, but I may not have to use it in future because it's still in experimental mode. So I would change the add name to MJS. Now instead of module export, I can say export default add, and inside the app.js, I'm just going to also call this, rename to MJS, and here instead of require, I would say import add from add. All right, so here I would say import add from add. So that would add this module, and I can just run it like this. And now in order to run this, I would have to add another flag, node experimental MJS. Okay, when I run this, I get 3, and it gives me a warning, says experimental ESM module loader is an experimental. So this is how you can run it. But again, when you, in future, you'll have this feature available, so you don't have to use this flag. And I'm currently using the latest Node version. So if you're using an older Node version, this probably experimental feature is not available. So if you want to try it out, you have to use this 10 and over, Node version 10. Okay, so that's all, folks. In next video, we're gonna look at external module. So we haven't looked at how to use an external module yet. So we're gonna have to look at it. So please bookmark this playlist. I'll provide it here for the next video. And I'll also provide the video at the end of this. And I hope you learned something from this video. And if you did, please like, subscribe, and provide a nice comment. It only takes a few seconds. Plus, if you really liked it, please do it. And also, if you can help me translate this video, I would really appreciate it. The information is inside the description.